The mics are hot.
The mics are hot.
Well, shit.
Was that like the floor's lava?
Okay.
Yes. Do you remember playing The Floor is Lava?
I do.
When do you think the last time I played was?
Probably recently.
last weekend?
Probably recently, yeah.
Yeah. Last weekend.
Welcome to the Barre Beat Podcast, live from Fly on the Wall Productions, Main Street, Barre, Vermont. In-house tonight, we have, of course, myself, the wonderful and ever awesome Michael Booten. But
Self-promotion.
Oh, my gosh.
we also have Raylene Meunier
Good
and
evening.
Rich Morey. Good evening.
Good evening.
Do you remember that song, "The Future's So Bright, You've Got to Wear Shades"? From the 80s.
Oh, my
Future's
God.
so bright.
Are you serious?
You couldn't have gone with sunglasses at night?
Oh, I wear my
There you go. That's gonna hit. That's gonna resonate more with people.
Right.
Is that the same song? Future so no.
No, it's
Getting
not.
good grade. Yeah, the future's so bright. I gotta.
This is like a 10-minute concert of yours?
Yeah, it's
That's what we came
We
for?
hope not.
I didn't know I
yeah,
came
it's
for
very
this.
terrifying.
We hope not.
So we should probably let
Oh,
Raylene
jeez.
explain the reason why she's got shades on tonight, so that people aren't curious.
Right, and so that they don't think I've lost my mind completely, just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
I had surgery on my eyes, on my right eye on Friday.
That just sounds painful. It's
Yeah.
eek.
I would not want that personally.
And I just needed a little quick retina replacement. No problem.
Yeah, no problem. No
Everything
problem.
about that sounds painful and a problem.
I'm
Yeah.
with Rich on that. Everything about that sounds painful.
Well, it is painful. I'm not gonna lie. It's painful. It's a super pain in the ass. I had to.
Mind you, we are live on.
Oh
we're-
yes,
we're
pain in the
not-
butt.
Where's the 10
I had to
buzzer?
lay flat. As you know, one of your friends had to do that too. But for the first 48 hours, I had to stay flat. I could only have my head up for 15 minutes an hour. That's hard. It's terrible.
Do they-
like no pillows or anything.
Do they put you all the way out when they do that?
Well, you're out. You're not aware. I think they use the same stuff as they use for like a colonoscopy, things like that. They can tell you what to do, and you can hear them, but you don't know, and you don't remember, and you don't feel.
It seems awkward to be able to know what's going on, even if you can't.
Recall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
There's no recall. So yeah, that's it.
I could not handle that. Somebody touching my eye, you could not hold me still.
Well, I've been going every week since October.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to do that. Don't touch my eye.
Yeah.
I can't even do contacts.
Yeah.
I just, ugh. I just can't. I can't do it.
Take care of your diabetic eyes.
Yes, I thankfully do not have diabetic eyes yet.
Yet.
But
Neither did I.
yet. This is true. This is true. So yeah, we're gonna chat about what do we want to talk about? We want to talk about school board because it was my first meeting on
Official
Thursday.
meeting.
Official
You've been
meeting.
there. You've been attending.
Yeah, I've been to almost every single one of the meetings since probably June, July, somewhere around there. But yes, my official meeting where I sat at the big kids table, and I mentioned it multiple times, how I felt pretty, mommy, wow. Anyway,
Another song. I'm sensing a theme.
Another
I
song.
don't know
we're
Mommy
gonna-
Wow, but
Oh, me
Mommy,
either.
wow, I'm a big kid now. You don't remember
the jingle. It's a
yeah,
jingle.
it's
Yes,
a jingle.
okay.
I don't remember what was
Okay.
it for.
Play
If anybody
play
knows,
school.
drop that in there.
Play school.
I don't know. Anybody that knows, drop it in there.
Huggies, maybe. I think it's diapers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Pull-ups.
Latex.
pull-ups.
Yeah.
Pull-ups.
Yeah. Good, Michael.
Well, that was great. That was great.
Yeah, it's good tie in there.
Good time.
That's okay. When people get to your age, they wear pull-ups then too. So
Oh, this
Oh,
is true. This is very
yeah.
true. Since we're talking about age, should we mention that tomorrow is your birthday, Raylene?
Oh, I didn't know that. Happy birthday.
you can.
Yeah, should
Thanks.
we start
You
singing
can say I'm going to
happy
be
birthday?
51.
You're 51?
I will be tomorrow. Yeah. I
Congratulations.
get to be 50 for a little bit longer.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's no big
Do
deal.
you know anything about the snow that we're expecting tonight, or
I do. It's we're really not going to get all that much in this area, and it's
Darn.
going to go all the way through till Wednesday. 3 to 6 inches. The big deal is going to be the wind, 30 to 50 miles an hour. The
Yes.
gusts are going to start sometime tomorrow.
I've seen anywhere from starting at 8 o'clock tonight, 3 to 12 inches.
Yeah, depending on where you are.
And the
for
heights
sure.
and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I enjoy the snow because I get to snow plow it with my 4-wheeler. So
I gave Michael a link to something I thought would be very, very beneficial. And actually, JD might find it beneficial as well, because I seem to remember they both have similar interests. They're little plows that connect to the front of your Crocs, so you can
Oh, yes,
plow
I
as you
saw
walk.
those.
Yeah.
Yes.
yes, I prefer
Yes,
the
I've
plowing
seen
with my
those.
4-wheeler. It is way much better.
Well, you could just trailer it
Way
out
much
to
better.
California
Way much
and
better.
have
Way
a
much
great
better.
time.
It is so much fun. Actually, the first night that I get to use my 4-wheeler, I actually drove from my house down to Renita's and plowed her driveway.
Totally legal in the city of Barre.
Totally-
Everything about that's
totally
legal.
legal.
Yep.
100%. I would
Yep.
never do anything illegal. Never.
Wow. Wow.
And you know what? I would
Put a
do it
hot mic
again.
in front of him and he talks about all
Do
the
it.
laws he breaks.
I would
I know.
do it again for her, and it was Pearl Harriman as well. Single, older lady, so that was me being nice. You know, go
Yeah,
for
yes.
it. Anybody that wants to call the cops on me for going to help out someone in their 60s plow their driveway out, go for it.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Careful what you wish for.
I could see somebody
Yeah.
doing that. I could
Of
actually,
course they would.
Careful what
Of
you
course
wish
they
for.
would.
you know, somebody would be like, ah.
Yep.
But so anyway, yes, first night on school board, and I already got my first controversy. I was so excited.
I was pretty interested to read a critique of you in the paper and your conflict of interest.
So in case, because it was funny, I actually got an email about it, and then I got a message from someone, and you know, of course, the snotty little comment on the Times Argus webpage with the comment there of some random person that doesn't tell who they are.
Huh,
Whatever.
weird.
It's kind of funny. Yeah. So my issue was the, make any commitments that could impact the board's ability to make decision making. And I have a commitment to the Barry Beat to get information out there. So yeah, there might be a time where I am giving out information that could cause people to show up and
Are
be
you
there.
are you talking about the code of ethics? You're referencing the code of ethics that the person cited in their critique that you wouldn't sign, and then
Yes.
said you had a conflict of interest because of this podcast and because of your service on city council.
That is correct. That is
Okay,
correct.
just so everybody knows what we're talking
Yeah.
about.
And that's baloney. First of all, I took an oath before God to uphold the state of Vermont's Constitution and to do my duties for the BUUSD as a director. And that's all I have to say about that.
And you didn't say you wouldn't sign it. You said we need to cross that line out.
Correct. And what's really funny is that last year, people were just like shredding it up and no one's holding anybody accountable for that.
Well, I think you have to have faith in your elected officials that they're going to have uphold the code of ethics. That's why they're elected. That's why the majority of the votes went their way, is because the community feels that that person's going to do what's best.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
We'll have this conversation during the treat. Ultimately, though, I mean, it's a document that's put out there by the school board association, and it's not something that is needed. And I don't even know why.
just actually, it's exactly where I was going to go. I'm a little surprised there's a code of ethics. Why would there be a code of ethics that you need to sign in confidentiality? I mean, that's
I have
part
no
of
idea.
being on the school board.
Yeah.
Excuse
will
me.
say-
Part of being on the school board is to keep people ethical. And
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say that the whole comment about being nice to one another. Okay,
Yeah.
that went out the door.
Yeah.
Well,
You can tell.
Yeah.
So yeah, they,
I mean, I guess I could make an argument. Is it ethical for people to be nominating others for committees and chairs that they campaigned for them during the election season, in the process, put their signs up in their yard, held signs for them, advertised on social media for them. I mean, is it ethical then to turn around and put those people on committee appointments that are pretty high ranking?
Well, in defense, so Giuliano Ceccanelli is the one that makes those decisions on the committees. And I know that he certainly gave me the committees that I wanted, and I'm really appreciative of that. And I was really proud that I was able to make the motion to appoint him as the chair of the BUUSD. He's probably, probably the least divisive person.
That's exactly what I was going to say as well. Yeah.
And I think that he will bring a stability that we did not have from last year because of the polarization of the chair and like the inappropriate activities that were going on between the chair and the superintendent. But
Well, I think
hopefully those are all gone.
Yeah, definitely.
No, Giuliano Ceccanelli will not cross those lines. I can guarantee that.
I would say there's a little bit of controversy with the way the financial committee shook out. to take existing board members that were on the finance committee, remove them, and completely replace them with those candidates that you endorsed and campaigned for that are brand new.
It was Giuliano Ceccanelli. He didn't. I don't think he did any campaigning for them.
Oh, perhaps not. It just.
Yeah.
I think that the board makeup, the finance committee makeup, would have been better served to have some of those that had been on it previously, and then others that were new on it, rather than a completely new makeup from the start.
No, I mean, obviously, I agreed with that. I made the motion to separate them, just because I knew that we had 100% agreement with the other stuff, and it was only the finance stuff. So let's get the wins where we can get them, and we could get the wins on the other committee makeup, and then we just duke it out over the finance, which it wasn't really a duke it out. It was just we separated. They made a motion. Somebody, I think it was Chris Parker, made a motion. It was seconded. It passed. Not a big deal.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see what happens moving forward. I mean, it's nice to have the nastiness that have been gone. And now let's focus on the positive, what's best for the students, wherever we think that's going to land. Because ultimately, again, we want what's best for the students, and see what this budget comes forward with and is presented to the taxpayers.
Yep. It will be interesting, and we will see.
And has that been figured out when the next vote is going to be and where? I guess not when, but where in the city, because there was a conflict, correct?
There was.
Location?
So there's, I think there's two possibilities. We'll either do it in April or we will do it in May, when Barre Town votes. The only problem with that is that Barre City can't vote at the Barre Auditorium, or the BOR. So we would have to find a different location, which could depress voter turnout, which is never good. We always want as many people voting. So I would highly recommend folks that if you really care about our government, get an absentee ballot. The whole narrative that they're not safe is a bunch of crock, and I'm sorry, it is. And if you feel uncomfortable about mailing it in, fine. Get it, fill it out, and then bring it in on that day, or mail it in. Check with the clerk's office to make sure that it got there. It's not hard. You
can hand deliver to the clerk's office.
Correct.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
You can hand deliver, and it's really important. And you can ask somebody to bring in the ballot as well. They can only bring in up to 25 ballots. After that, it's considered ballot harvesting. But I'm sure that you could find multiple people, that could help bring in those ballots. And every single BCA member, I have full confidence that every single BCA member, if you called them and said, hey, can you come and pick up my ballot? A BCA member would come and pick it up, because, I'm in the BCA, but the people that are involved in that care about your vote, and they care about your ability to vote and to get your voice heard. So just throwing it out there.
Well, and I would say top to bottom, as being part of the BCA process myself for both regular elections and recounts when they've happened, I would say I have the utmost confidence in our city clerk, Carol Dawes.
Oh, yeah,
she runs
absolutely.
the tightest ship I have ever
Yes.
seen, including, minor things that you wouldn't even think
Oh, yeah.
would be an issue. She is the letter of the law as it is written, and she is right there. I've never seen her slip on anything. So I have the utmost confidence in her and everything she does.
Yeah. So other than that, the school board reorganization went relatively smooth. No hiccups. We had obviously some questions about open meeting laws and stuff like that. I mean, it's all out there in statute, and we just kept on saying, well, it's there, let's go to that, But the really big thing on the school board right now is that today we received a letter from the Diversity and Equity Committee chair about the budget. So
What? Interesting. Okay. What does the Diversity and Equity Committee have to do with the school budget? What is their standing on why they are weighing in on it?
So they're looking at it from an equity standard. I can actually read it. I got it right here.
Did the Recreation Committee weigh in as well? Or?
No, they did not.
That's a tongue-in-cheek remark.
And
but
it's okay to read it now ahead of. Yeah.
Ask me.
Yeah.
Say a FOIA, Michael. I'm
Yeah.
FOIAing this.
No,
right
that's
now.
technically how that
Right.
works.
Yeah.
But
It's not.
I assume it'll
Right,
be
it's
read
not
at the next
confidential.
meeting.
It's not confidential. The Barre City Diversity and Equity Committee has been made aware of underfunding in the proposed Barre Unified School District's budget due to its impact on students with special needs. During the debate concerning the budget, the Finance Committee made a strategy that includes unfilled staff positions as a budget surplus. Unfilled, not filed, unfilled. The school committee admitted that most unfilled positions are in special education. As a result, the budget would understand that the money set aside for unfilled positions does not create a surplus. So they go on about that, and it's about that. But the funny thing is that technically they're not supposed to do that.
Send it direct, right?
should
They
not
should
have
have
said
not have
that.
sent it
It's-
direct.
Kind of
They-
operating as your own entity at that point.
Yeah, which is fine if they were not under the auspices of the city council, which, quite frankly,
that's
but
basically saying that the council and the city endorses that letter and is in support of what that letter says.
yep. And that does make you, yes, there is still a board clerk, Heather. It's Paul Malone. So it's interesting because the D&E committee, I heard that some D&E members did not get notification that that this letter was being sent. So you want to take a guess?
Yeah, probably the one who's censured.
Yeah.
I seem to remember another committee that was sending letters without people being notified as well a year or two ago.
Which one
there
was
were
that?
decisions being made, and I'm trying to recall, but I remember that there was something that happened where the rest of the group did not have full support or was aware of an action being taken.
I do not remember.
Come back to me. I have to pull it together here.
Either way, it goes to it. Quite frankly, so that they could make the decision, because there's been some conversation about the D&E committee wanting to choose who's on that committee, and quite frankly, what probably should happen is that should break off and be just their own committee, and they can just do whatever they want. They can choose their members. They're not under the auspices of the city, and they can do this kind of stuff all they want. But they're not an official committee. That's what should probably happen. And this way there's no staff involvement. They don't have to record the meetings, which they are supposed to now, but they don't. There's a very valid argument to say, D&E committee, you don't exist under the auspices of the city. Rather, you can go do your own thing. And then you can choose all your stuff that you want to choose and, expel people that you don't want on the committee. But at the end of the day, you're also not under, you don't have any city connection. Kind of like there is no city connection to the
Gardening club.
Well,
No, the gardening club makes its own members.
okay. So I'm thinking like the Matheson playground, the
Same
Friends
thing,
of
same type
Matheson.
of thing. Yeah.
They're on their own. I mean, they make suggestions and requests to the city, but they don't have any actual involvement in the city.
Or any of the service clubs, the Lions Club, Rotary.
Yeah, exactly. And they can choose their own members, and they can certainly send letters like this. But
To answer Michael's question, the D&E committee, Diversity and Equity Committee, is for the city. It has nothing to do with the school.
Correct.
The problem I see with allowing a city group or a city committee to pick its own members is you end up with members that only they want. And if you're connected to the city,
but if
council has no oversight into what that member makeup is, and you
but
could.
if you're like
You're saying
special
sever the
interest,
tie, right?
Completely sever the ties.
But you can't allow a committee to choose its own members. That's under the umbrella of the city. That can never work.
Although I think they have mentioned that they want to do that.
I'm sure every committee would like to pick their own members, but if I brought my group of friends that sit around in my back porch in the summer to make decisions, it's not going to be the same group of friends of yours that make decisions.
Right.
Correct. So that's like the new. It's quite interesting that's come up. It'll be interesting to see how that goes down. Anyway, going on to city council stuff.
Do you want to answer Heather's question real quick?
Yeah.
Oh, sure. What did Heather say?
What is Andrea's role, and does that still exist? I don't know who she's referring to. That's why I asked you.
That's a really good question, and I was wondering that too when Paul Malone became the clerk, and what if there is a person out there that's watching and has way more experience in the school board than I, please answer that question. I think that's a paid position that she is paid for.
I don't know who we're talking about.
I thought that she said she didn't want to do it anymore. Then they asked if somebody else wanted to do it, and like literally no one did.
Right.
And it went on for a bit, and finally Paul said, "I'll do it."
Yeah.
I
Sonia tried to get that on me, and I'm like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
And yeah, Paul. So the clerk was Chris Parker. So it's not the same thing that Andrea does.
Mm-hmm.
I think Andrea does the minutes.
That's a secretary.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. So, and I think she gets paid. I know she gets paid because there was a conversation about her pay in the budget.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't understand the whole like clerk versus, secretary on how that works. I just know that when they were talking about it, Paul has to, know who makes motions and who doesn't and what the motions are. So I don't know how that works. And thank you, secretary. I'm not sure. So
Thank you. Period. Secretary.
Yeah, she said.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we clarified what the role was. That's what she was thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Sorry. So yeah, that's how that went down. It was.
So even after being on council for 13 years,
13.
You're still learning something new by being on the school board.
I am. It's always good to learn.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't learn something new every day, you didn't have a good day.
You did not do something right.
That's right.
Yeah. So tomorrow night we've got on the consent agenda, ratify the council's February 28, 2023 approval of the Ask Me contract. So that's a pretty boring thing. We're just ratifying the approval of the union contract. Then authorize sole source procurement of the independent auditor. another woohoo.
Yep.
Very exciting, you know.
That'll draw in the viewers.
Yes, it
A
definitely
snoozer.
it definitely will. Do you remember, were you on council when we had the argument about which auditor we were going to select?
We went out to bid, I think, my last year, and we had 2 bids. Dupuis, is that the name?
Duplessis.
Duplessis. And we ended up going with them again.
Yeah. So I'm pretty confident. Let's go down to
Which
page
I don't think there's anything wrong. I mean, you should review every contract every 3 to 5 years just to make sure you're getting the best value for your money.
So the company wasn't
Sullivan Powers.
It was Sullivan
Fred
Powers.
Duplessis.
Yeah. Fred Duplessis.
Yep.
Yeah.
Duplessis. But there was one year, 6-8 years ago, that we went with a firm down in Randolph because they were like $25,000 cheaper.
Oh, I remember Carol talking about this.
Yeah,
the
she
disaster.
was not happy.
Yeah,
because
that it caused.
not that they did anything wrong. It's just that, you know, she liked the continuity, and they've pretty much been our auditor,
Yeah.
you know, forever. So let's see how much that's going to be. That is Barre City required by law, single audit performed. There's a price tag, but I'm not.
I didn't
seeing
see
the
it.
price tag. Interesting, but that's okay. It's a sole source, so not a bad decision. Yeah. So on top of that, then we've got approve the new pilot agreement with Capstone. Yeah. I was super excited when Capstone purchased that building and demolished it during a housing crisis. It was awesome.
Yep.
Both Teddy and I were like Sue Minter, poor lady. I feel kind of bad for her.
I think she's probably used to it.
Yeah.
I'm sure she is.
Yeah. She probably
she's-
is.
Yeah.
She's probably had tougher critiques than that.
And my guess is she
especially
could,
coming from you.
yeah, and I'm sure that she could probably raw back if she needed to.
You would agree
and
to that.
It's all good. I mean, she was very nice during the conversation. But
In all fairness, I think they started that process before COVID and the housing crisis really kicked off. So, in all fairness, not giving them a pass on it because, listen, I was somebody that was looking for housing a month ago. I know what it's like right now. I get it.
And yes, it was the Brook Street that we're talking about. And a pilot, for those that don't know, it's payment in lieu of taxes. It's less than the tax rate on their properties, so that we still get some money, which is really nice considering that we have a boatload of nonprofits in the city.
So everyone knows nonprofits don't pay taxes. Pilots pay something.
Correct. Yeah, so there's that. And
For all those people that complain about Barre City's taxes being too high, I suggest you take a look at all the nonprofits in the city that don't pay taxes. That's the downfall of having a courthouse and nonprofits and support services around a courthouse is that the tax rolls go down. The positive side is you have support services for those that are in need where they're going for their hearings or whatever else they have going on. So it's a toss-up.
Yep. And then we have designate Brian Baker. I keep on thinking of a different last name. Brian Baker as an alternate to authorize him to the Clean Water and Drinking Water State Revolving Fund. Not a big surprise out of this, right? I mean, he is our new DPW person, so he's just
not any different than what Bill did.
Yeah,
Right.
Not that.
We're all
big of a
perfunctory so far here on these agenda items.
which is why it's under the consent agenda.
Yep.
Then we've got the authorized lease financing of planned capital equipment purchases. So that's going to be what are you laughing about?
Keep talking about it. You'll know when you say it.
Talking about the ambulance?
Oh, you knew it. Love ambulances.
I bet. So we're going to be leasing an ambulance and 2 plow trucks.
Leasing a plow truck.
Correct. 2. 2 plow trucks. And due to supply chain issues, we probably won't see those until next year sometime. Do you want to say something about that?
I was just saying something about the weather. Oh, good thing we won't need them anymore. But who knows? This year we could be 50 on Friday and a snowstorm on Monday. Who knows?
Right.
Could be. And then authorize letter of support for the Building Energy Code and Ordinance Compliance Project.
Yeah, that is one I really
my
want to
goodness.
dive into. Let's go through the meat and bones on that one.
Oh my goodness!
It's going to be a riveting meeting.
Yes,
Exciting.
it
Probably
is.
have like 60 people tuning in for this one.
Probably.
Then resolution recognizing Fire Marshal Howarth's service to the city. So that's going to be a resolution, and which is what I just said. But I'm going to actually read that resolution. Howie has worked for the city for quite some time.
Are you saying you're going to read it right now or tomorrow?
I'm actually going to read it right now.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Because he's an employee, and we've got a resolution. So I figure, let's read it.
For those that aren't turning into the excitement tomorrow night.
Yes, although they should, we're going to be doing a letter of support for the Project Heights, which we'll get to that
Oh,
shortly.
yeah, we should talk about that.
Yes.
Yeah, so a resolution commemorating the retirement of Fire Chief Marshal. So, should Marshal have 2 L's or 1 L? Should be one. I feel like it should be 2.
I think
but
2 L's is a name.
I think it is a name. That's
Yeah.
Renita Marshall and Chris Marshall. I think
Yeah.
you're probably right about that. Now I
And
feel
Marshall from
nervous.
Paw Patrol.
Oh, that's right. Isn't that like supposed to be?
He is a
like,
firefighter.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I don't know anything about
There you
Paw
go.
Patrol except for the fact that during 2020 it was considered the most
Wait, it's
evil.
Marshall?
I don't know. It was like the
I think
evil
he is one.
cartoon that was a dog that was a police officer, right? That's what
I
everybody
have no idea
everybody
what
was
you're
like.
talking about.
I remember hearing like people being angry because it made police officers look like good people. Heaven forbid we have good thoughts about police officers.
Oh Lord.
Okay, back to
Back to the
Howie.
resolution.
Yeah.
All right,
Sidetracked.
Robert Howarth and declaring February 15th, 2023, Robert Howarth Appreciation Day in Barre, Vermont. Whereas in June 1998, Robert Howie Howarth was appointed as a firefighter for the Barre City Fire and Emergency Medical Services Department. In June 2007, he was promoted to lieutenant. In March 2009, he was promoted to fire captain and ultimately promoted to fire marshal in August 2018. And whereas Fire Marshal Howarth was devoted to the city of Barre, where he was a strong advocate for safety of its citizens and visitors alike. And whereas throughout a 25-year career as a public safety employee, he served as a firefighter, fire lieutenant, fire captain, and fire marshal, a true firefighter in heart and soul. Howie was always a welcoming face during the time of need. And whereas Howie was also a believer in training and bettering himself and those around him, Fire Marshal Howarth continued to advocate for firefighting training and safety even on his retirement day. And whereas his service to our city spanned 25 years and thousands of emergency calls, now therefore be it resolved that the Barre City Council wish him the very best in his retirement and do hereby declare Wednesday, March 15th. Wait a minute. Okay, so we'll have to circle back on that one. To be Robert Howie Howarth Appreciation Day. I got messed up because at the top it says February 15th, and
It's definitely March.
It's definitely March
Right.
15th. I thought it was kind of weird that we went backdating. Now I feel terrible. Our most profound appreciation for his distinguished career of public service and his steadfast leadership in the Fire and Emergency Medical Services Department. And be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be placed in the permanent records of the city of Barre and a copy presented to Robert Howarth. So that's
Excellent.
the resolution.
I'll certainly
And-
thank him for his service for 25 years.
Yeah, and I'll probably reach out to someone about the February 15th versus...
Yeah, you definitely don't want
No.
Carol to read that tomorrow.
No,
Right.
definitely don't want that.
So what's the process for the new health inspector or
Well,
inspector period?
it'll probably be someone in the rank and file that moves up and takes that spot. And we'll see who fills that. I assume that Joe Aldsworth will fill it in the meantime.
Right.
Is that health inspector or code enforcement? What was his official title?
I think it was fire marshal,
Yeah.
wasn't it? Let's go back.
He also
fire
does-
marshal.
Okay.
Fire marshal.
He also
which
does
also
code
does code
enforcement.
enforcement. Yeah. All right. So that covers our consent agenda. Exciting. Moving on to our new business, which is to approve the 2023 coin drop schedule.
Are all the slots filled now?
Let's take a look.
I'm sure.
It looks like all the slots are filled. And we've got for April 15th, so those that are listening, get your coins out and get ready to dump out some coins for these wonderful organizations. You've got the Barre Elks Lodge on April 15th, so the coin drop will be then for them. Then on May 6th, we'll have Project Graduation. The Legion Post 10 for baseball, they have not selected a date, but they are in the mix to be put on there.
There's only a certain number of dates available.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And that's the same thing for the BSA football, Spalding High School football. Then May 27th, we have the Barre Community Baseball and Softball. Then on December 2nd, we have
Christmas for kids.
Christmas for Kids.
City Council.
City Council. So hopefully, oh, look, my name is there
On what?
as a contact.
Oh.
And it's the only one that's permanently approved. In case you wanted to know.
It's a standing date.
Standing date, yes, because nobody else wants to stand in the freezing
I was
cold,
gonna
collect
say, it really-
coins.
So
Yeah.
you're pretty much the only one that ever does it every year without fail.
I have done it every single year since I started on
12
City Council.
years,
Yeah.
And this year you were joined by Tom and Teddy, correct?
Yes. Teddy and I think Sam showed up. I know Amel did. I'm pretty sure
For a
Sam
little bit.
did.
Yep.
Yeah. Pretty positive. I pretty positive. I did not get pictures of them. I got pictures of Amel, but I don't think I got pictures of Sam. And I'm almost positive she showed up. I think the only person that didn't show up was the mayor. So, and he was not feeling well that day. And then we have the approval letter.
He never feels good on coin drops and ribbon cuttings. I'm just saying.
Approval of letter of support regarding the Prospect Heights project. So, for those that don't know, BADC, the organization that is our development organization that we share with Barrytown, that does a lot of development in our area, that really helps our community. The one where, we were voting on to allow a marketing director. And anyway, before I go down in my frustration of that, so they're doing the Prospect Heights thing. I actually attended a meeting today, and let me just say, MA has got her crap together. I mean, I listen to her and I'm like, I just can't follow this. She not that I can't follow it, but like if the questions are asked and she's like just like that and able to answer them, and she has got her stuff together. She knows what she's talking about, and I'm pretty excited about that. And we're doing a letter of support, and this is something that
This is universally endorsed by council?
Yes.
The same council where members were campaigning to not give BADC funding on city meeting, town meeting day?
Yes.
Oh,
We
okay.
had
I just
we
want
had,
to be sure that the
correct.
same
they
council
support Prospect Heights. They don't support the marketing side
or the group behind it.
or the group behind it.
Right.
Yes.
I was going to
The
say.
same people who are championing for housing, right?
That is
Because
correct.
we have a legitimate need for housing. Okay, I just want to make
They
sure.
separate out the difference there between those.
So we
that-
like some of the things they do, but we don't like all the things they do.
Hey, listen.
I
there's
just
some
want to be
things that
clear
I
so
like
everyone
about,
knows.
things.
Just so everyone knows.
yes.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
So we're going to be submitting a letter of support so that they can get that grant and to move this project forward. And it's going to be really awesome to see all those houses up there.
So what does that look like? Does that go out to bid for a contractor to build the housing units? And then they would select a contractor?
No, that's not how I understood it. I understood it when Tom and Amay both explained it. It would be several different developers throughout. Like if a developer like the Fectos, I know that they're going to still do some. They have said we want this plot of land and this is our plan to build this many. But I don't think it's not going to be like the one on Windywood Road where a couple of they bid the project, and that is my understanding of it.
Okay.
So I know that there is some sort of one of the grants requires ownership of
So they would buy a certain
parcel.
amount
of a they would
acreage to put.
correct. There's some
Gotcha.
sort of organizational part of it where they cannot give rights to anybody for like 20 years, and it's almost. Yeah, I'll be quite frank with you guys. I do not understand it. And maybe what we should do is probably get MA in here, and she could probably explain it way better. And that's actually probably what we should do.
I think that would be great. And because I've heard talk about the Prospect Heights, and I would be willing to bet a number of people in the community don't really know anything about it. Oh, look, we have some clarification coming in.
Oh, no. People buy the lots, get their own contractor to build any style house they want, up to 4-unit building. Look at that. That's Alice Farrell.
She's right on it.
She's on top of this stuff.
See, I think that's important information for people to know, because you hear Prospect Heights, it sounds like a development like what's happening up off of Richardson, or
Right.
some of the other developments people are familiar with, Country Way,
Right.
or anything up off from Richardson Road, where one developer came in, built a bunch of houses, and sold them off. So that's great clarification. Thank you, Alice.
Yes, thank you. And I do know that it's going to add $32 million to the grand list. And that's been spearheaded by BADC, not any counselor, unless you consider Tom. Comments? Thoughts?
Do we consider him a counselor? Is that the question?
No, I'm
Oh,
just making the comment that this is being spearheaded by
He's
BADC,
pushing hard.
and Tom is pushing hard, which is good. Tom does an
Absolutely.
amazing job.
We should have a local investor be part of this.
Yeah,
The last thing we need is somebody from outside the city to come in and be involved when we have people right here in the community that can invest and spearhead it.
Yep. So that's pretty much it for the agenda. Not very
Pretty,
exciting.
pretty minuscule.
Pretty. I mean, I like the project, the Prospect Heights.
Absolutely. That's
Which,
very
as a
exciting.
side note, there's not going to be an entrance to Prospect Street. Did you know
Is
that?
it going to come through Country Way? Yeah, because Fectos have a right of way through Country Way. I already inquired about that a couple of years ago.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they are intending to keep that if they sold that parcel of land. I think that was part of the greater build out for that entire property when their father had purchased it.
actually think it is on, is it Westward or Pomazano that's on the bottom? I always get confused when you're pulling off of Prospect
Westwood
Street.
goes
It's
straight
Westwood.
up.
So
That's where I live.
I believe at the very end of Westwood, if you go all the way to the end before it loops around to the right, there's the last house driveway, and then if you look down over the bank, there's like a little road and a gate that will bring you to the back side of Countryway. And like I know that's where Bectos, that's how they would get to, when they were bringing their equipment in and stuff before, that's where they would use. So I wonder if that will kind of be an access point.
That's a point, and then right before the condos start, on the to the left there's another point right there that goes right out into those fields, the upper part of the field. So that was another one that was a right of way that they had.
Nice.
So a couple different access points.
Well, that is it. I look forward to
I was actually surprised that there wasn't going to be an access from Jake Street, the top of Jake's. But maybe because I think that hill can be, a real pain.
Yep.
Wonder how the people
for
up there are gonna
emergency
feel
crews
about that,
and
'cause
stuff.
That's like developing on that trail. People use that to walk their animals.
I mean, I think if you bought a house in Countryway, you had to expect that there was a possibility of that being sold and developed at some point.
Good point.
No different than if you were on Westwood or
I agree.
Palmisano when Countryway went in.
Good point.
Yeah. I mean, if the tables were turned and you lived on Windywood, I'm sure that nobody at one point in time gave thought to the fact that the orchard was all of a sudden going to become this huge development.
Yep,
I'm sure that expectation of when they put, Sugarwoods across the road, different things like that. I'm sure that the expectation that would ever happen was very low. And now, I mean, there's a lot of houses up there and they're still putting them in.
Expensive houses up there.
Yes,
well, that's the other part. I mean,
very.
Super expensive.
Well, it's an association.
Yeah.
But even if you look
they're
at the
inclusive.
houses on Beckley that are going in, those aren't cheap. Those are $300,000-$400,000 houses. So I'd be curious to see how the cost effective and how affordable these are. But I guess to Alice's point, if people are buying the lots and picking the contractor to build them, you kind of can dictate what the size is going to be and how much you want to spend. So,
Right.
Good point. All right. Well, I don't have anything else. Do you have anything you want to talk about?
You know, Michael, actually I do. I mentioned this to you the other day. Let me start off by saying, I think last week when I talked about Barre Values Group, I think that stirred up some things with a lot of people, and I want to be clear that I wasn't criticizing anyone. I was just pointing things out and stating things that I personally had noticed. So, if anybody has a different opinion and they'd like to discuss it with me, I'd be more than happy to. As I said last week, I, in the past, have tried to join the Barre Values Group and have been denied. So my experiences with that are based purely on the things that I have seen. So more than willing to have a conversation with anybody that wants to discuss that with me. One thing I think we should discuss that I don't know that people are aware is that we have a number of elected officials. Maybe not a number. We have certain elected officials here in our city that delete comments from their political pages, that limit content on their pages, and that erase content from their pages after the fact, and as well as block members of the community, constituents, from accessing their page. And that's something that I have a problem with. It was explained to me that when you choose to run for public office, you open yourself up for criticism. And if you're willing to open yourself up for criticism, you need to have some kind of a tough skin and be able to handle the critique that comes along with it. And to see elected officials that block constituents that aren't necessarily saying nasty things to them, but that are questioning them or disagreeing with them, and they're deleting those comments and blocking them from being able to comment on posts, I think is a problem. And I think that's something that should be addressed by council members, by the mayor, by whoever, the city manager as a whole. That needs to be addressed. It's not okay for sitting council members or the mayor to be blocking people from their public campaign page, to be limiting access to it, to be limiting the content, limiting comments on it, and then to go back and delete them after the fact. That should all be public record, and it should be open and fair for everybody to see. And I don't think that that's okay.
So,
And I'm sorry, Raylene, I didn't want to cut you off. One more point to that is I know there's a council member who's been there for a number of years, who was just reelected, who has received some of the harshest criticism that I have seen from anybody that's ever been on council. He has taken that. He has blocked people in the past, but he has gone back and allowed them to access his page. He has reached out to them personally and talked to them on a personal level, on a political level. And even though he hasn't agreed with them, he's still made his page open and those comments to stay there. Mm-hmm. So I credit Teddy Wazazak for being open and being fair and transparent with his page, because he has received the most amount of criticism of any counselor, maybe outside of Tom Lozon, this city, that I can remember ever having. Mm-hmm. And so for others to do the opposite of that, I think is not fair, and it's not right, and it doesn't serve our community well.
So I just want to point out that I deactivated my account yesterday, and once this goes onto the cloud permanently, I will be deactivating my account again. There's been so much caca out there that I just don't want to. And I will say this, it felt good not to constantly check my Facebook page and to see whether or not somebody had posted something nasty or something like that. But that's not the same thing as blocking.
But that's your personal page. Your personal page.
Well, no, that was also my private, my public page, my school board page, because it would not allow me to keep it active.
Yeah, you have to do
right.
them all. Your personal page is your personal page. You can express whatever you want on your personal page. Be your own person. Limit content. Limit your friend circle. Whatever you want to do. I have no issue with that. You want to be a private citizen, be a private citizen. When you choose to be a public citizen or a public official, you open yourself up for public comment, and you don't get to limit that,
right?
Because your feelings get hurt.
And how do you?
You can if you deactivate your account.
Well, and I'm to be very clear here. I do not condone a lot of the things that were said, a lot of the actions of people, and a lot of the words that are said, because there are a lot of nasty things that were said out there that were either true, untrue, blown out of proportion, or overly harsh. And I don't condone any of that stuff. However, if you choose to be a public official, you choose to be a part of that. And you have to take the horrible, nasty, evil stuff with the incredibly good things that you do, such as wrapping presents for kids at Christmas that can't afford it. Mm-hmm. For every good thing, there's something equally nasty on the other side. Mm-hmm. And you don't get to decide what you participate in and what you don't participate in.
So
where do you go for the accountability in that? That's my question. If you were, you were saying that, well, who holds the mayor accountable for that, or the council members? I mean, who can? Obviously, the mayor can hold the council members accountable if he so choose, but who holds him accountable? Who can? How is that done?
I just know that according to the Supreme Court, you can't limit, or not limit, but you cannot block people. You can limit your page for comments, but it's a all or nothing option, and that's where the line is. Either you allow them or you don't allow them. You cannot allow it and then remove the access after somebody posts something, because it opens it up at that point. But if you start off with the other, and that's Supreme Court precedents, and I guess you would, if you wanted to seek remediation from that, I think any counselor or the mayor, if you told them, hey, that's not okay, they would probably change that. At least that's what I would do, because it's illegal according to the Supreme Court. But all that being said, like I said, when this finishes posts I'm planning on deactivating my account again.
But you're making a personal decision. It's not that you're deactivating your campaign page or your school board page.
It doesn't give me an option.
No, but I'm saying you're not saying I want to just deactivate this page. By default, when you deactivate your personal account, your other pages go deactive as well.
And the Barry Community fan page and Barry Beat do not, because Raylene is also an admin on the page. Are you an admin on the Barry? No,
Not
you've
anymore.
been removed. I exiled you.
And we can sign on from here next time as me, and then we can.
Do you want to answer Alice's question?
I have a question. If the mayor position is volunteer, why have one? So we have a system. It's called a weak mayor system, and it's basically like the chair for the school board, except for it's an elected position citywide. They run the meeting. They have a voice at the table. It's basically the chair for the school board, and the only difference is that it's an elected position citywide, which Tom will be able to get elected next year citywide.
Should he choose to run?
Yes.
Bullshit. He's going to run. I'm going to force him to run. I will start. You know what? I'm going to start
Michael,
getting.
this is where you get into. This is where you get into criticism for this being a slanted podcast.
Oh, I don't really care.
Everybody
knows my feelings towards Tom.
That's the criticism for you, is that this is a slanted podcast because you push your
I
own
support
personal
Tom Lozon.
opinions.
Terrible Michael, and he's a terrible right-wing conservative extremist, who has mental issues apparently, but that's okay.
You can't just say things like that without saying that you were told that by somebody.
Well, in defense, I was kind of nasty.
Importance. Well,
but anyway,
it's never okay. No matter what you say, it's never okay to label somebody as having mental health problems. It's not anything. No, I'm being serious. That's not anything you should ever say to anybody.
I get that. I was
in jest. Unless you are certified in diagnosing mental health conditions, you should never label somebody with something like that. It's just not something to make fun of.
So, again,
and anybody that
year,
said that to you should be held accountable for saying that to you.
I mean, I did inform people. I did say, in defense, I called that person a hornswoggler.
Yeah, but that's not
Google
a reason
it,
to say you have mental health issues. That's not okay.
Right.
It's not okay.
I agree with you.
I am
Rich.
dangerous. I am very dangerous, Alice. Very, very dangerous.
It doesn't. Yeah.
But anyway, hopefully Tom runs. All right. So with that being said, want to say thank you to everybody for watching the Barry Beat podcast. Rich and Raylene, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
We truly appreciate it. Absolutely appreciate it, and we appreciate everybody that watched tonight, and we hope that you'll continue watching going forward, and we hope that you click like and click follow,
share,
and all that wonderful jazz.
Tell a friend, tell five friends.
Telegraph friends and
telegraph.
Oh, what telify?
Tell a friend.
Oh, telephone.
right.
A telegraph.
Right. I was.
Holy cow.
I know. I was like, what? I thought I heard wrong.
Holy cow.
I really
How old
did.
are you?
Well, apparently old enough to know what 8-tracks are. So
whatever.
I know what an 8-track is. I don't remember.
Whatever,
vehicle, but
Michael.
I know what it is. Do you want to sing us out again? Since you sang us in, you want to sing us out with something?
There's a sad clinging.
Oh, you're O for songs to me tonight. I don't know any of the songs you've referenced tonight.
Up in the steeple too, and down in the nursery there's a strange little bird. It's popping out to say cuckoo, cuckoo.
Oh my!
You should probably just sign off now.
What the hell? You're gonna come up with anything better than that?
We just went to 0 viewers. What is happening?
Yeah.
Where am I?
To you. All right.
Oh my
Thank you guys.
gracious.
We appreciate it. And I can't believe you don't even know what that is.
Neither one of us knows
I've
what that
never
is.
in my life heard that. Ever.
I don't know what you're talking about either.
The Sound of Music?
I've never seen it.
No. Sorry. Me either.
I'm done.
Thank goodness.
You guys are terrible. I don't even know what the Sound of Music
The only
is.
thing we both knew that you were singing tonight was the pull-ups, the jingle.
Yeah, because we have kids. You just like the song. That's
Holy
the
cow.
scary
Yeah,
part.
true.